We have entered a new week, ladies and gentlemen. Fresh energy, brand new slate of shows on what is the hottest form, best form of Alabama football news, notes, and information. This is In My Own Words, the podcast with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, live in studios. And I understand we are still in the month of September. I get it. But after 4 weeks of the college football season, I think it's time to address the question of where are we in relation to the coveted Bronze Award, the race for the 2019 Heisman Memorial Trophy. We're going to dive into that. Before we touch on it, got to always give a shout out to our sponsors. As In My Own Words, the podcast is brought to you by Title Towel. This is the rally towel with benefits for the avid Alabama sports fan. Remember, Title Towel is only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. So people, if you got pride and purpose for all things Bama, be sure to show that pride and purpose as you twirl Title Towel in the air like you just don't care. You go to whitwillsports.com, check them out. WHITWILSPORTS, whitwillsports.com, and purchase you a couple of those towels today. Now, Heisman Race right here. You've got about 5 guys that are the front runners, the square headline names for the Heisman Memorial Trophy. You've got some candidates, some hopefuls that are still in the hunt, but yours truly, along with other guys out there, there are 5 premier names in the front runners, for the Heisman Trophy. And to start this from 1 to going on down to 5, number 1 is self-explanatory. Tua Tagovailoa of the University of Alabama is just tearing it up right now. I mean, he looks better than what he did a season ago, and much of that can be attributed to the return of Steve Sarkisian as offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Tua, so far this season, completing 87 of 112 pass attempts. That's a completion clip of 77.7% for 1,300 passing yards, 18 total touchdowns, 17 passing, 1 rushing, no turnovers. He's averaging 325 pass yards a game. He's got a passer rating of 225.3 and is helping the Crimson Tide average 50 points per game. And for you, the Alabama fan, this is a moment that everybody needs to kind of take in right now, because players like Tua Tagovailoa don't come around often, and it's because of him that Alabama is starting to hit even more on the recruiting trail in terms of elite play at the quarterback position. The Crimson Tide here recently picking up a verbal commitment for its 2020 class in Bryce Young at quarterback, somebody of whom many sites have as the number 1 overall dual threat quarterback. Could have also been the number 1 overall pro style quarterback, but he is 6 feet even instead of 6'3", but I digress. Big time arm, huge athleticism, and a guy that, once again, Tua has started this uptick of the Crimson Tide bringing in more highly prized quarterbacks. And here's somebody that has completely changed the culture of how you think, feel, act, perceive Bama football. Since 1925, when you look at Bama football, it has always been, we got a strong smash mouth, knock you down, push you down, decapitate you, destroy you. We got this big time defense and a power run game. Those were 2 elements that Tide fans could always hang their hat on. No matter what else happens, we know Alabama, strong, make you quit defense, power run game, and the quarterback play. Everything doesn't have to depend on you being the quarterback. Just keep us in position, just keep the car on the road. With Tua Tagovailoa, that flips because he's the face. He's a guy that can not only manage the game, we are seeing him take over the game. We are seeing him dominate the game. We are seeing him kind of putting the team on his back with this group of wide receivers, and they're tallying up points at will. You do not see this every day. So when you look at this, you're able to pop open your popcorn, crack open a cold one, and actually enjoy the greatness, especially if this so happens to be Tagovailoa's last year in the college game. So first and foremost, him changing the culture, him with 71 career touchdown passes, 8 shy of surpassing one A.J. McCarron. Tagovailoa, 5,902 career passing yards, 5th all time in that regard, number 1 on the Heisman list. When you go from 1 to number 2, you look at Joe Burrow of the LSU Tigers, the senior, former graduate transfer from Ohio State University. And here's a guy that's become the shock and surprise of everybody. For the last, I guess, recent years here, LSU has always had strong running back play, a great stable of wide receivers, phenomenal defense under defensive coordinator Dave Aranda. But the one knock on LSU has always been the quarterback play. A lack of a consistent vertical passing attack. Aside from Zach Mettenberger and in the early 2000s, Jamarcus Russell, LSU's quarterback play has been I mean, Matt Flynn was good, but Matt Flynn was a system guy and not really the strongest arm in the world. I mean, you had Ryan Perrilloux, who didn't last long due to off-field issues, and other quarterbacks that come to mind, Jordan Jefferson, Jarrett Lee, just, guys that were just not it in terms of being premier passers. And here comes Joe Burrow in from Ohio State, and he's changed the game a bit for Ed Ogeron and those Tigers. Burrow with a completion clip of 80.6%, 100 of 124 passes completed for 1,520 yards. He's got 17 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He's averaging 380 passing yards per game for a team that's totaling or averaging 57.8 points per matchup. And when you look at LSU, depending on if the game between the Tigers and the Tide on November 9th is shown in prime time, I really hope it is. Getting tired of seeing these other teams get a night game in Alabama with these 2:30, 3:30, 11 a.m. kickoffs. So hopefully the LSU matchup inside Bryant-Denny will be a night game, because that's one of the couple of matchups that will determine the Heisman winner. When you look at the trajectory that Tua Tagovailoa and Joe Burrow are both on right now. So Burrow, number 2 on the list here. Moving on down to number 3, we pick up Jalen Hurts of the Oklahoma Sooners. The reason why he is at number 3 right now, the Sooners had a bye week on last week, so you have one more clip of tape on a guy like Joe Burrow versus Jalen Hurts, but still at number 3, he's still in the running right here. Hurts completing 49 of 61 pass attempts, that's 80.3%. For 880 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, no picks. He's averaging 293.3 passing yards per game. On the ground, Hurts, 38 carries, 373 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, averaging 124.3 yards on the ground. So in all here, you're looking at somebody that's putting up 1,253 total yards in terms of passing and rushing combined, and a guy that's playing well in the Big 12, Lincoln Riley. We all know what his system does. It enhances the quarterback. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. We saw both of those guys. Both Heisman Trophy winners went on to be number 1 overall picks in their respective NFL draft classes. Lincoln Riley trying to do the same thing with Jalen Hurts, and Hurts has the narrative of the things he went through at Alabama, being strong leader, good player, great teammate, great ambassador of Tide football. But now with the Oklahoma Sooners and trying to win a national championship, but he is number 3. Flipping this over now to the 4th guy on my Heisman list, Justin Fields of the Ohio State Buckeyes, the transfer from the Georgia Bulldogs. He's making Ryan Day look really good as a first-year head coach, taking over for Urban Meyer. And despite the fact that Fields has to share the same backfield with J.K. Dobbins at running back, the young man, 66 of 95 passes completed for 880 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, no turnovers. He's averaging 220 yards per game. He's got 6 rushing scores on the year, and a guy that continues to play well. And with the mess that's going on in Ann Arbor, Michigan, the big house where the Wolverines are concerned under Jim Harbaugh, it looks like the Buckeyes will not be losing this matchup against Khaki Pants and Josh Gaddis and company. So, number 4, Justin Fields. And rounding this off, last but not least, we go to the place where Friday Night Lights was born, the place where everything is bigger at. You look at Texas, the Longhorns, with Sam Ehlinger, quarterback, who's completing 102 of 140 pass attempts. That's a 72.9% completion clip, 1,237 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, just 1 interception, averaging 309.3 passing yards per game. A lot of people look at Sam Ehlinger as this running quarterback. He's gotten a lot better with his arm, very precise, accurate, getting the ball downfield to the likes of receivers Colin Johnson and company. And when you look at the Red River matchup between Sooners and Longhorns, that matchup will not only decide the Big 12, but it will go a long way in probably crowning potentially the Heisman Trophy winner between Hurts and Ehlinger. So that's a good matchup there. But running back through the 5 again in terms of the Heisman race, Tua Tagovailoa, Alabama at number 1. Number 2, Joe Burrow of LSU. Number 3, Jalen Hurts of Oklahoma. Number 4, Justin Fields of Ohio State. And number 5, Sam Ehlinger of Texas. Tua Tagovailoa, folks, changing the culture of Bama football. And if he continues to play the way he's doing right now, going to be very hard to deny this young man the Heisman Trophy. In terms of guys that are still in the hunt right now, you look at running back Jonathan Taylor of Wisconsin, quarterback Jake Fromm of Georgia, running back J.K. Dobbins of Ohio State, and quarterback Justin Herbert of Oregon. But those just the guys still in the hunt trying to push here. That's going to lead us, people, to our first break here on In My Own Words, the podcast, hottest show in the streets. As always, I encourage you to download the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. Do that right now. Be in the know. Be the smart fan. Care about your football team, the Alabama Crimson Tide. You can get this via the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you have the Android phone. You check out the podcast options at the bottom of the screen there, ladies and gentlemen. You also subscribe to TD, AlabamaMag.com, and subscribe to Touchdown Alabama Magazine on YouTube for all the latest. Get with the site that has over 1 million video views and over 5,000 subscribers strong, thanks to you, the fans. Upon our return from the break, we dive into the challenge that Ole Miss presents Alabama and how the game is starting to slow down for a couple of these freshmen. Don't touch that dial. You've been listening to In My Own Words. What's up, college football fans? You can catch the show every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Subscribe to get all the news, notes, and information covering your Alabama Crimson Tide.